Welcome to Let's Talk Cabling, your gateway to the world of ICT. Get ready to dive deep into knowledge that
empowers. Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That can mean only one thing: live after hours with your favorite wire monkey, Chuck Bowser, RCDD. Your favorite RCDD. Jay, who's in the house? How you doing, Jay? Who? Glad to have you here, my friend. Lots of stuff to cover tonight. As you know, I took off the last couple weeks of 2025, so I'm starting back up again. I basically saved all of my questions that I got over those couple weeks. Oh, let me turn on the chat thing so I can see when people chat to me. And okay, I'm not sure where it is. Hold on, there it is. Okay, so we've got lots of stuff to cover next week. Yeah, next week is the BICSI Winter Conference. The BICSI Winter Conference. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Here we go. Let's try that. There we go. That's a little bit better. There we go. Next week is the BICSI Winter Conference. I'm going to be there. Lots of stuff happening. Number one, and probably the most important thing, we're doing an informal memorial for Phil Klingsmith. So check my posts. You'll see when we're doing that. I've reached out to see if we can't do it in a room or something. I don't know if we'll be able to get that done or not, but so we're going to pay tribute to Phil. So if you're going to be at the conference and you know Phil, show up so that way we can pay tribute. Also, another cool thing they're doing at the BICSI Winter Conference is they're going to have high school students there on one of the days as a exchange kind of thing. I'm going to be working part of that. I will certainly be walking around the exhibit hall, and I'll be sitting in a lot of the committee meetings. So I'll be there floating around. So if you're going to be there, hey, tell me in the chat box, are you going to be at the BICSI Winter Conference? Are you going to be there? Let me know, because I'm going to be there. I'd love to hang up with you and meet up with you. So the question, I forgot to do, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Chuck's just drinking water. Anthony's in the house. Hey, G. Anthony. I'm just drinking water. And the acronym challenge for this week is the NEC. NEC. Tell me in the chat box, what does that stand for? The NEC. Give you guys a few minutes to type that up. I guess because I took off a couple weeks, it's taking a long time for people to come back. Oh, let's fix this screen there. There we go. There we go. It's a little better. It's a little better. Exactly, Anthony. 10,000 points, Anthony. The National Electrical Code. Happen to have one sitting right here on my desk. NEC. This is the 2023 version. We're in the 2026 version right now. So the NEC, National Electrical Code. That's the acronym challenge. So this week's show, I'm really going to focus in on Nintendo Entertainment Console. This week, I really want to focus in on people who are trying to get into the low voltage industry, because I got a lot of questions about that. A lot of questions. So the first question is from Jake. I wonder if it's Jake from State Farm. Jake, he asked me, Chuck, I have zero experience. Where do I even start looking? Okay, well, number one, do some research. Go to ChatGPT. Ask them who are the low voltage contractors in the area. But first, you got to define how far are you willing to drive for a job, right? So, for example, when I lived in D.C., I lived in Maryland, but I actually worked for a low voltage contractor in Virginia. So you got to decide how far you're willing to drive, and then look up all the companies. Okay, look up all the companies in that area. There are national job boards that you can go to, but the problem with the national job boards is they're going to have a lot of people responding to them. It's not unusual for those national job boards to have 100 people responding to one ad. Okay, the best days of our lives is in the house. So yeah, look for you used to be able to look in the newspaper for the ads, but look for things like helper, installer one, trainee. Look for those kinds of things. And here's what I would do. I know people, Chuck, I don't call people. I text message. Call the contractors in your area and ask them, hey, do you have a job for an apprenticeship? For an apprentice? Old school still works, people. Old school still works. It just does. And another good resource here is go to your local distribution houses, Graybar, Annex, or Wise Components, Advantage in the Atlanta area. I think it's Marietta. And ask them, hey, do you know any companies that are hiring? Show up and be curious, and don't accept that first no. Keep calling back. I had a mentee one time when I'd asked him, hey, did you apply for any jobs? He goes, yeah, but they said no. And then a couple months later, I said, have you followed back up? No. Follow back up with them. So the next question comes from Maria on Facebook. What job boards actually work? Again, there are the big ones. ZipRecruiter, right? Indeed, you will find them on there. But those job boards are really going to be good for, the middle technician, the lead technician. They really don't spend, because people don't realize this. The company has to spend money to put those ads on those job boards. So typically, because of the high turnover rate for helpers and apprentices, they typically don't spend the money for those kinds of positions, right, in the job boards, because they're going to replace that person in 6 months anyway. So it's not really a good place for apprentices or helpers, but you can certainly use them. Another good resource, I mentioned about using Chat GPT to find out who the low voltage companies are in your area. Why not go to LinkedIn? Go to LinkedIn, yes. You don't find too many job postings on LinkedIn, but you can certainly find, again, those low voltage companies that you found in your Chat GPT search. Look them up in LinkedIn. Find out who is the owner, who's the project manager. Create a beautiful LinkedIn profile, which is not hard, and then send them a friend request. Still works. Another good resource for you is state job workforce sites, and also trade schools. They also have stuff as well. And let's not forget the union. The union has apprenticeship programs, what they call Earn While You Learn. This question number 3 comes from Tony. What keywords should I be looking for when I do job searches? Okay, you want to look for low voltage technician, structured cabling installer. Stay away from technician, because if you're just getting into low voltage, you are not a technician. You're an installer. You're a helper. Okay? Look for words like data cabling, fiber optic installer, Cat 5e, Cat 6. Maybe even look for like AV installer, security installer. Those are all great search words. I guarantee you will find something in your area to at least apply for. Alexis from Instagram says, should I apply even if I don't meet all the requirements? Yes. Even if you don't meet all of the requirements, yes, still apply for the job. If it's a job that you think you will flourish in. But be honest with the company when you do the interview that you identified having, this skill and that skill. Make sure you let them know, I don't have that skill, but I am a willing to learn. I'm hungry for knowledge. Because at the helper level, at the apprentice level, the skills, don't get me wrong, they're important, but it's more important to know that you're going to show up every day. You're going to be prepared every day. You're going to be dressed appropriately every day. You're going to have a good working attitude every day. That's more important than skills. So if you're lacking on a skill or two, just say, look, I've never terminated fiber before, but I can tell you this, I will show up on time every day. I will wear my appropriate PPE. I will have, all that stuff, because for the helper and the apprentice level jobs, that's going to resonate more with the HR people than, I have those skills. I would rather have somebody working for me who is going to show up every single day on time, not be on the phone all day long, and I have to teach them skills. I would rather have that person than the person who has the skills who shows up late all the time. or doesn't call in sick, doesn't even show up. Just saying. Just saying. Okay. So yeah, job descriptions, read through them. Just remember they're a wish list. A lot of companies, what they tend to do is, Rich is in the house. A lot of companies, what they tend to do is they will put every bunch of every skill known in the job description, and then don't realize this is for a helper, right? So they're really a wish list, not really commandments. So even though it's listed, they may be willing to negotiate on that. Again, as long as you say, hey, I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up on time. I would try to make sure that I would only apply for jobs where you meet maybe about 50% of the skills that they listened. Okay. But again, make sure that you highlight in your thing that your attitude, your reliability, that is the key thing, especially for the apprentice level or the installer level. Hunger beats perfection every single time. Every single time. Next question comes from Brandon. What skills can I start learning today with no experience? Okay, get on YouTube, start watching videos. You want to make sure that you know what tools are used and what those tools are called. Jannard has a social media presence. Tempo Tools has one. Watch the videos and learn. Hey, what is this tool called? Okay. Hey, what is this tool called? Okay. Hey, what is this tool called? Okay. Then watch those videos on how to use them, and that way, so that way if you do get hired, they say, hey, can you go give me the snips out of the toolbox? You know what to go get. Okay. Also learn the basic types of cable and their terminology. Lots of great resources out there. I'm obviously one of them. What is Cat 5e? What is Cat 6? What's Cat 6a? What are some, and here's again, safety. What is the PPE you're gonna need to wear? Again, you can watch videos on this. What are the basics for safety? Right? How to learn and read simple drawings and labels, blueprints. What does a legend look like? What does a triangle mean? What does a triangle that's half shaded mean? There's all skill sets you can learn before you even apply for a job in low voltage with no skills. And you can find that information pretty easy. Just again, I said hunger for knowledge, but a lot of people do this. Let me know in the comments if you do this. Okay. The cable stretcher doesn't exist. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So what a lot of people don't realize, why did that go back down again? I don't know what's going on with my phone over here. Usually, and this, let me know if this applies to you. Tell me yes or no in the chat box. A lot of times when people get into new hobbies, like for example, when I got into doing homesteading and stuff like that, I was hungry for knowledge. I watched tons and tons and tons of videos, read tons and tons and tons of articles. Same thing. If you want a job in low voltage, have that hunger for knowledge. Okay. Question number 6, and this comes from Nina. Are certifications worth it before getting hired? Depends on what certification you're talking about, right? So in the low voltage world, there are certain certifications. There's the installer 1, that's the basic level. Installer copper, installer fiber technician. There's the CFOT, the certified fiber optic, CFOI, certified fiber optic installer. And then there's a lot of computer ones too. The thing about certifications are they show effort, not mastery, right? Not mastery. And some companies will send you, some companies will send you to get those certifications. Absolutely. Absolutely. But we're talking about, they're asking about if they should have get them before they get hired though, Anthony. So yeah, they're great to get, but they're also expensive. They're also expensive. And as Anthony pointed out in the TikTok feed, if you're there and you show up and you're reliable, the company may send you to those classes, and that way you can get them. I don't know if I would necessarily invest in them up front, especially if you've never done low voltage before, because you don't know yet if this is going to be your career. I know some people in our industry who've been in low voltage for 20 years and still don't know if they want to make it their career. Yeah. Safety training always pays off. Here's an easy one. Go to your local fire department and get some CPR training. They usually don't charge for that. And then you can put on your resume that you have CPR training. You have basic first aid training. That's a skill set that's almost on every job application. Do you have those skill sets? You don't have to be perfect to start something. So certifications at this stage, certification plus the attitude is going to get you the job interview. That's what's going to be really right. OSHA 10 is a good one to have as well. How much does the OSHA 10 course cost, Anthony? Do you know? Let me know in the chat box. Or if you could you look that up on the internet and then tell me in the chat box so I can tell the audience. Question number 7, how important is a resume if I have no experience? Okay, so the resume has a lot of benefits, even if you have no experience in low voltage, right? The resume shows that you have communication skills, that you know how to use a computer, that you can spell, you know grammar, right? It shows character, not just skills. And then you can put in that, because you may not want to hear this, you will get judged on your email when you send it to the company. What do I mean by that? If you send an email to the company and it's got a lot of spelling mistakes, or you use acronyms instead of the full words like GMTA, great minds think alike, you will get judged on it. Remember, this is professionalism. Professionalism. And on your resume, even though you might have worked other jobs that weren't low voltage, make sure you highlight jobs that you needed to be reliable, that you needed to work with a team, that were physical in nature. Because, again, at the helper level, they don't really expect you to have the skills yet. They want you to, again, show up, be on time, don't give people attitude, right? And especially at the helper level, don't give them a 2-page resume. Keep it to 1 page. And I mentioned that you will get judged if you have any spelling errors. Find somebody. Number 1, use the spell checker in your word processor. And number 2, have somebody else read your resume. A trick that I used to do a lot of times when I used to write a lot of stuff is I would write it and then I would wait a day or two and then read it again. That way, because it's not fresh in my mind. You find a lot of mistakes that way. Question number 8, what should I say when calling a company directly? This comes from Miguel. Anthony says OSHA 10 is $59.99 website, also 360 training in the same place. Nice. So $60 is all it's going to cost you to get an OSHA 10 course, OSHA 10 certification. $60. That's an investment, because even if you don't go low voltage, that'll help you with any company, any trade-related company, electricians, HVAC, whatever. And the trades is the new thing. The trades are the new thing. Watch out for it, man. We're taking over. All right, so going back to your question from Miguel, what should I say when calling the company? Number 1, speak slowly, speak clearly, speak confidently. Okay. Hi, this is Miguel. I'm calling to see if you have any openings for a helper or an apprentice for your low voltage program. Okay. Make sure you tell them you're looking for that level. Express your willingness to, if you get through to HR, make sure you let them know, look, I understand I don't have the skills, but this is a career path I really want to get into. I'm going to work hard. I will work overtime. Again, ask what is the best way to apply. See, some companies, they want you to fill out the job board. They want you to fill out their automated system, stuff like that. I get that. So ask them, what way do you want me to fill out this application? Be polite, be brief. I'll say that again, be brief and be professional. Because see, the HR people, they got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. Anthony, thank you for looking that up for me. I appreciate you. Question number 9, how do I stand out in an interview with no experience? Okay. So there's lots of ways that you can do this. Brian Murray's in the house. There's lots of ways that you can do this. Number 1, show curiosity about the work. You know, I would do your research first. I always recommend do your research when you're doing job interviews, no matter what the job is, whether you're experienced or not experienced. Do your research on the company. Find out how long the company's been in business, how many employees they have, what is their reputation within the industry, and then ask smart questions about how the company is growing. Okay, if I start with you today as a helper, is the company growing? Is there room for advancement? If you say that, ding, 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 bells are going to go off in the HR person. This is a person who's thinking about careers, not a job. That's going to help you, even though you may not have any skills, right? Talk about how you like to learn outside the work. Now, if you've done your research like I told you to, make sure you tell the HR person, look, I want to be in this industry so bad. I've watched, the FOA free classes. I've watched this video on low voltage. I listened to Let's Talk Cabling podcast and blah, blah, blah. That shows that this is something that you're passionate about. Passionate about. And then make sure you follow up after the interview. Okay. Question number 10. This comes from Devin. What red flag should I watch for with a first employer? Okay. So during that interview process, it's okay to ask them, look, if I get hired, what does the onboarding look like? Do you have safety training? What kind of culture is it? Okay. How many times do you have to replace this helper position with no explanation? All those kinds of questions. Ask the big questions. The HR people love that. I'm telling you, they love that. And because a lot of times what happens is the HR department loves to give you promises without any structure. Yeah. Question number 11. This comes from Sam. Once hired, let me get a little bigger so I can read it. Once hired, how do I succeed in the first 90 days? I don't want to travel. Is there a trade that doesn't? You can work in the low voltage industry and not travel. You just make sure that you tell people that the company you get hired. Absolutely. Sam wants to know, once he gets hired, how do you know how to succeed in the first 90 days? Okay, here, if you get hired or during the interview process, this is a better time to do this. During the interview process, ask the HR person, what does me being successful in this role look like at the 90-day mark? They will tell you by 90 days you should be able to pull cable, terminate cable, you should be able to run a tester, you should be able to fill out worksheets. They will tell you, write them down. Those are goals. And then at the end of that 90 days, you can go back to your supervisor or the HR person and say, look, you told me to be able to do this in 90 days. I can do that. That way you show that you listened and you are performing. Okay? Listened and you are performing. Again, I can't say this enough. Show up on time. Show up every day. Oh, here's one I haven't mentioned yet. Listen more than you talk. Listen more than you talk. Because if you are talking, you can't be listening to the person. Okay? So listen more than you talk. And make sure that I'll give you an idea of the kind of dedication. When I first got hired in the low voltage industry, I worked for a company called Custom Computer Cable in Reston, Virginia. Right? In Reston, Virginia. And so on my first day there, I got there. Of course, I wasn't sure what to do because, again, first day in low voltage. So the guys were kind of loading the trucks up and doing stuff like that. And they said, no, we don't need help yet. So what I do, instead of standing around looking like a bump on a log, I grabbed a broom and started sweeping the floor. So that way they look, hey, this guy's sweeping the floor without even being asked. That shows you to have initiative, right? Offer to carry tools. Offer to help other people. Take notes. I'm telling you right now, take notes. Because if your supervisor's telling you something and you are writing down what the supervisor's saying, that tells the supervisor that what they're saying is important to you, important enough to write it down and document it. I have a list of 147 pro tips on my website. And pro tip number 1 is document, document, document. Here's a good one. Being new in the field. You're going to make mistakes. It's just going to happen. You're going to make mistakes. So let me fix this phone yet once again. There we go. So you're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes brand new in the field. If you make a mistake, own up to it fast. And then say, look, I'm sorry, I put the wrong label on that cable. Or I did this or whatever. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to say that you make mistakes. As long as you learn from those mistakes. That's the key. Learning from those mistakes. Okay. Question number 12. How do I move from a helper to a technician? Master the basics first. Learn how to pull the cable. Learn how to attach the cable to a pull string. Learn how to tape it correctly so it doesn't get snagged on it. Those are basic skills that every installer needs to have, that even a good technician needs to have. Learn the basics first. And then also, if you want to move to the technician level, Ask for responsibility. Don't ask for the title. I want to be a technician. Just find out what are roles, what responsibilities do technicians have, and start doing them without being asked. Again, that shows initiative. Initiative. Learn the standards. Learn the best practices. I told again, the BICSI manuals, the ITSA manual. Again, if you have $90, buy the BICSI Pocket Field Guides. Okay, matter of fact, I recommend that for apprentices. Okay, I highly do. Volunteer for the tough jobs, the ones that people don't want to do. What will happen is a lot of people, they may not want to work after hours. I don't know why this thing keeps collapsing on me. A lot of people don't want to work after hours because of family life, stuff like that. If you can, it doesn't affect your personal life, volunteer for those overtime because, again, that's going to show that you're a go-getter. And also learn, this falls into my pro tip number 1, document. Track what you have learned. So that way, if your boss says, hey, the BICSI used to have a OJT book, on the job training book, where it looked a lot like the manuals I just showed you. And you would check off in that book, okay, I pulled the cable, turned the cable, tested the cable, I learned how to do this, learned how to do that. And then you'd have your foreman sign off on that, right? So track what you learn. It's a shame they don't make that book anymore because that's such a great book. It truly is. Question number 13, is networking really important in this trade? Now, by networking, we're not talking about actual, computer networks. We're talking about networking with people. Yes, absolutely, networking is essential. More jobs have been filled just from somebody knowing somebody else than jobs who have let me phrase this. The best jobs are filled before they go to the job boards. Okay. The BICSI manuals, where can I purchase for $90? Go to BICSI.org. Look up the they're called the ICT Installation Practices Field Guides, JD Raiders, or you can call them on their 1-800 number. I used to know it off my head, but I don't know it anymore. Call them up, tell them Preston's in the house. Hey, Preston. Tell them you want to buy the Pocket Field Guides. Again, they're about $90. One is copper. The 3 books set. One is copper. One is fiber. One is best practices. In fact, if you know for a fact that you want to get into low voltage, and you don't have the skill sets, spend the $90. Read through those books. Memorize those books, so that way you can talk. We have a whole different language in our industry. A whole different language. So that way you can communicate with people. Right? So more, like I said, more jobs are filled from people knowing people before they even get to the job site, right? If you're the kind of person who works the tough hours, works the weekends, and that you're known as being reliable, that's going to get you a job. Show up to industry events. I mentioned I'm going to the BICSI conference next week. Hey, Preston, are you going to be there? You going to be at the BICSI conference next week? But they do local meetups as well. Also, go to, for example, like Gray Bar and Annixter and all them. They have counter days where you can go to there and they have a vendor will come in. Go there and just hang out and meet with network. Don't be afraid to talk. And don't be afraid to help other people without expecting anything back. That's the key. Hannah wants to know what mistakes the new techs make that slow their careers. Okay, the biggest mistake that new techs make, thinking that that slow the career, is thinking that speed is more important than quality. They think that speed is more important than quality. That's the exact opposite. You want to be slow at first and then do it until you build up those muscle memories. Okay. I'd rather you get quality first because the speed will come second. Okay, quality will come first. Gray Bar's in the house. There you go. He says Gray Bar will distribution here. We'll always try to help you when we can. They are also a great resource. Ed, the old tech guy's in the house. What's up, Ed? Daryl, the RCD's in the house, a regular. All it takes is a couple of calls, and I can find someone that knows you in the industry in the area. All it takes is a couple calls, and I can find someone that knows you in the industry in the area. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%. So, Hannah, also another thing to think about of mistakes is ignoring documentation, ignoring labeling, right? Or here's a big one: complaining. Complaining. Don't complain. You know, if you don't understand why we do certain things and it seems kind of dumb to you, just bite the bullet, do what you're told when you're told to do it at the best of your ability as quick as you can and still be good at it. Because because you know, let people know, okay, when you terminate jacks, you're not supposed to untwist more than a half of an inch. Okay? Right? More than a half of an inch. But a lot of people don't know why. They don't know why. Right? That will come. The why will come later. Frankie B says Chuck has a famous name in the Philly, PA area, y'all. He's like a legend. It's funny you mentioned that because I was at Tractor Supply over the weekend and I found, you know, like one of those little things you put in your desk that has your name on it. And you go back and look at my social media, you'll find it. It's a thing that says the man, the myth, the legend. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was funny. Another thing, Hannah, that slows career paths is being glued to your phone. You're not being paid to be on your phone. You're being paid to pull cable out of the back of the truck, put the cable in that building, pull the cable, terminate the cable, get off the phone. Get off the phone. Okay? And here's a big one. Let me know in the chat box if this one resonates with people, right? That slows people in the careers. Acting like you know everything already. Acting like you know everything. I've been in the industry for 40 plus years. I'm an RCDD. I'm a BICSI tech. I've done commercial installs, residential installs, government installs. I don't know everything. I was just telling somebody today because here's a cool announcement for you guys. Chuck is going to Costa Rica in a couple months to do a presentation. How cool is that? I'm going to Costa Rica to do a presentation. Actually, 2 presentations. Can't wait to do that. And I'm sorry about the thing. I don't know what the heck this computer's doing. There we go. So hold that. Okay. Now the last question. This comes from Robert, and he goes, "What's the one mindset shift that helps beginners to succeed?" Okay. Remember, you are paid to learn at first. Okay. Every task matters, no matter how small it is. I mentioned about my first day in low voltage that I swept I took a broom, swept up. It matters because a clean work site is a safe work site. And here's another one. Take pride in your craftsmanship. Okay? There's a lot of great pictures. Look up Sean Rep. Look up All Green Lights. Look up Preston. Right? There's a lot of great people out doing great work. Learn what good workmanship looks like. And remember, this is a career, not a job. A career, not a job. Two big mindset. And remember this. Consistency beats talent. I said that earlier. It beats talent. I would rather have somebody who shows up every single day in and day out, on time, without me having to tell them, than somebody who knows what they're doing and they only show up 2 days out of the week. So there you go. Those are my 15 questions for the day. My closing points here. This industry, it rewards effort and it rewards attitude, right? You don't need permission to start learning. You don't need a job to start learning. If you think this is going to be your career path, start learning it now. Start learning it now, okay? Somebody's hiring in the low voltage industry, I guarantee it, and be the person that they don't want to lose. You want to be the person that is not replaceable. Not replaceable. And remember this. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. So that is today's show. It is 10:33. It is 6:33. Let me go back and look at the chats because I forgot to check them. Lots of chats going on in here. Studio chat. Why is it not opening that up? I don't know why my chat box is not opening, so I can't see any of those chats. There you go. So that's our 30-minute. Communicate. That's pro tip number 2 on my list. Pro tip number 2. Go look it up. Go to Let's Talk Cabling. Look for my pro tips. There's 146 of them. And if you read through those and you can think of one more, send it to me. I'll put it on there. All right, everybody. That is tonight's show. My wife and I are going to go grab a bite to eat. Had the fire department just show up at my house because Chuck caused a fire on the stove tonight. So until next time, remember, knowledge is power.